What is a telltale sign that someone is a selfish person? Story 1. Every bad thing you do to them is drama-worthy. Every bad thing they do to you are details and should be moved on from. And why can't you just do that? You're so dramatic. I never thought that being so upvoted would make me feel so sad. It's heartbreaking that so many people can relate to this. Story 2. Conversations don't feel like conversations. They are one-sided talks about what they want, their thoughts, their life, their priorities, etc. When you are able to slip a word in, your words are used as transitions in their dialogue. No matter how you format your words, they all just add to the plot of their story. What you say and what you do are pawns in their game, to be manipulated in a way that belittles your experiences, actions, opinions, and choices. Story 3. They gladly take any favors you do for them, but when asked if they could reciprocate once, they get defensive and/or aggressive and act like you're the selfish one for daring to expect something in return. It doesn't make you a bad person to expect reciprocation in a relationship with someone else, romantic or platonic. Relationships are give and take, and that makes them healthy. It's not entitlement to expect kindness if you give kindness. If you're the only one giving, you're being taken advantage of. As some people have pointed out, doing something kind with the expectation to gain something from it can be manipulative. I'm not talking about narcissism and manipulation. I'm talking about the natural give and take in a relationship. It is not manipulative to expect certain things out of a relationship depending on what kind of relationship it is. The whole reason we make relationships is because they give us something, whether that be support, love, safety, or other advantages. It isn't a bad thing, it's a human thing. Story 4. They respond how worse their situation is. When you're sharing your problems with them, no try for help or listening, just trying to draw attention on their side, the complainers. I have a friend that is like that, and lately I have just been letting her talk, with dry responses such as "oh wow, tough luck, yeah you told me all of that via text." And I would talk only if she would ask me a question. Story 5. My ex was insanely selfish. Her dad gave her a $20K a month allowance, paid for her mortgage on a penthouse in Nake, while she went to Yale. He paid her car plus insurance. She had zero need for cash. All bills are paid. He also gave her a credit card with him assuming no limit. 'Cause we bought a car on a whim once, but I saw her steal $3 from a friend who was passed out. She'd steal panties from Walmart. She had a pile of cash in her bedroom. We once needed to pay for a delivery, if it was bagels or pizza, but she refused to touch the pile of cash. I had to walk to my car to get cash, and when I tipped her $10 for waiting, my ex went ballistic, calling me a bitch, a moron, and queer. 'Cause why would you give a random porky bitch $10 for $5 worth of food? We went to a celeb wedding. She found a way to take for gift baskets as opposed to the two we were supposed to get. Every guest got one. She also stole a $500 gift card to Victoria's Secret from the wedding. Story 6. If you are in a group and there is one person that is constantly interrupting the middle of what you or anyone else is saying, generally to brag about themselves with a one-upper story, is generally a precursor to stop associating with them. I've met too many of them in my days, and they are more often than not happy to throw you under the bus whenever the opportunity arises. Story 7. When anything that happens to them is the worst thing in the world, and whatever happens to you is not that bad and a waste of time talking about or dealing with. I know your mom died a month ago, but my best friend of 3 years died too, so I don't see why you are so sad all of the time. I think narcissism and selfishness go hand in hand. So there you go. Story 8. For me, it's people who listen to loud TikTok in public, especially in relatively silent places. There's a guy that hangs out in my favorite bar, doesn't talk much and stays to himself, but he sits for hours watching videos on his phone with the volume on. It's the most obnoxious thing ever. Bartenders finally told him to turn the volume off or stop watching. He was 100% oblivious to the fact that no one else in the place wanted to hear that shit. Story 9. They're rude to wait staff or just staff and employees in general. or if their situational awareness is severely lacking, and they don't seem to have a problem with it. I bartend part-time. Always funny when some very young couple, or two people on a date, come up to order and one of them is clearly less than impressed by the other's manners. The other day two people came up, ordered. Guy didn't even say thanks and just barked his last name out for the tab. She pinched her face, looked me dead ass in the eyes and thanked me. She left immediately after finishing that beer. Lol. Story 10. They have that superpower to lead everything back to themselves, even when you're actually talking about your own life or a specific problem of yours. They somehow make it that you start talking about them instead without even changing the topic. Nearly everyone does this to a point. There's an extremely fine line between trying to comfort someone by saying something like, "I recently went through something with my father as well. I'm so sorry," and making their issue about yourself. It's crazy how common it is. And I'd guess if you are sharing something tragic to a group of people, at least one will try to make it into a competition and one-up you. Story 11. They're surprised and disgruntled when you accept what they've offered. I used to be friends with someone who loved to offer stuff. I have some cute maternity clothes that would fit you. I can lend them to you if you want. Story 12. One of my workmates had her drink taken from the fridge by someone else. When she put up a sign on the fridge to remind people not to take things, another guy asked her why she was doing it. She explained her drink was taken, and without skipping a beat he said, "Oh yeah, that's because someone took mine." So not only willing admitting to doing JT, but his justification was that someone did it to him. So yeah, I'd say that. Story 13. Combative comparisons. This is what I call it when someone always has a response to what you are talking about that somehow always seems to one-up you. It doesn't matter what you are talking about. Somehow, they always have a better or worse story that puts yours aside. It's intended to invalidate what you are speaking about and remove the attention from you onto them. Pay close attention to people who practice this malicious style of conversation. You will be glad you made note of it, as usually this is not only selfish but very narcissistic in nature. Story 14. When they go out clubbing or something and bring their friends back home to continue the party at 8 a.m. However, he lives in a house share and his roommates have to go to work in the morning. Ever since I told him to break up the party, and that it isn't appropriate, especially since he didn't mention to anyone that he decided to have a 8 a.m. Wednesday night party. He complied. But ever since then he's been unpleasant and unfriendly with me. Cunt.